Pickle? Hit the arrow sign. It's time for Monday Morning Fallout. Monday Morning Fallout. Of course, when we overreact to the football weekend, per usual, plenty to overreact to. Start with my 3 big thoughts. Thought number 1, revenge is overrated.
I feel like this is directed at me and Mike.
2 of the... No.
Yes. There's a portion of it that is.
Well, here's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
As we were sitting there on Friday night, watching 2 of probably the premier games in the state this week, which were Katy and Katy Tompkins and Spring Westfield, down there in the Houston area. I think a big storyline, a big narrative, which, of course, we're kind of at fault for, at least in part, is that this was a revenge game, that these 2 teams were looking to get a little bit of payback for what happened last year. Because, of course, Spring beat Spring Westfield last year on a Hail Mary. It was a remarkable game. And then Katy Tompkins snapped Katy's 75-game district winning streak.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it, both those teams got their revenge, so to speak. Both of them got their payback. Katy beat Katy Tompkins rather emphatically, if I may add. And Spring Westfield, I think it's fair to say, held on to beat Spring. They took a lead. I think they were the better team. Spring made a late comeback. Westfield snuffed it out.
Yep.
Is that a fair assessment? You were there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you talk with the coaches after the game, and I think that they admit a little bit that, yeah, they were thinking about last year a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I also think that loses sight of the bigger picture of both of these games, which was this was, in many respects, fundamentally, for both of them,
district championship games.
Bingo. These were games that were going to get them district championships. I think that is perhaps an underrated part of this story. And maybe it's because there's an argument out there that because 4 teams make the playoffs in each district, that the value of a district championship has waned.
Yeah, weakened, lessened.
I don't think coaches think that.
No, absolutely
I think
not.
that's something that we in the media maybe think about. I think that's things that maybe some fans think about. Mm-hmm. But I think for coaches, priority 1 is winning a district championship.
Right, because even if you have a team like Westfield or Katy who traditionally wins their district championship every single year, that still means something to them. Because like last year when they don't win it, then it's like the whole world's ending. So it means just as much to the coach that wins it every year to the coach that's just happy to get in.
I think if you were to ask Matt Meekins at Westfield, or you were to ask Gary Joseph at Katy, what they are happier about. Are they happier about getting revenge on that team, or are they happier about being in the driver's seat for their district championship? I don't think they hesitate. I think that the answer is, of course, the district championship. And at the very least, think getting that number 1 seed, but also getting that first goal out of the way.
Yeah, that's from a reporter standpoint, the revenge is the thing you ask at the beginning of the game, and the district title thing is what you ask at the end of the game. That's kind of how that works.
Bingo. That's thought number 1. Thought number 2, college football's existential high wire act.
You hit all the tough words correctly and then messed up football.
I did.
I like this, by the way.
So, we don't talk big picture about college football enough. And I mean big picture, okay? That functionally, we are now 5 weeks into the college football season, and I would say rounding up, almost every team has been eliminated from college football playoff consideration.
Yeah.
Think about if that happened with the Cowboys. Okay. Let's not use the Cowboys as an example. Let's use the Texans as an example.
Okay.
The Texans are bad, right?
Oh yeah, they're
Texans
very
got
bad.
mollywopped yesterday
By the Bills.
Right. 40-0.
Which the Bills are good, but yes.
The season is not over for them.
Not
they
at all.
can still, the Texans theoretically can still make the playoffs, win the Super Bowl, achieve every single one of their goals. Right? Now, they play more games, 17 games. That's part of it. But also, the structure of the league is such that even one... What are they? They've played 4 games now? let's just say they're a quarter of the way through the season.
Yeah, if you pick it up and get the wild card, then you have just
eliminated.
a shot. You know?
Nobody's eliminated. Mm-hmm. Nobody's eliminated. College football is not that way. College football, part of it is the truncated season. We're less than halfway through the season. Mm-hmm. And yet...
it's already been decided.
Functionally, if you are the kind of person who thinks about rings, right? Mm-hmm. We've talked about rings culture in that you either win a championship or you fail, right? Then for basically everybody outside of Clemson, Alabama... not Clemson. No, Clemson's done. Georgia, Alabama, Cincinnati, and maybe a handful of other teams, the season would be functionally over.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you a question, because this is what it got me thinking about. Is Texas A&M's season a failure? I mean, that's kind of the strange place that we're in existentially about as college football fans. Part of it is just and a large part of it is just the structure of the structure of things.
Right.
The structure of the sport.
Because
that only 4 teams make the playoffs, and as a result, there are only 4 teams that are eligible to win a championship.
Yeah, and
4 out of 130.
And even if you make a regular New Year's Six bowl at this point, it's like,
well, and part of it is the expectations that get set.
Yeah.
Right? And the expectation coming into the year for Texas A&M was to challenge for a national championship and certainly to be in the hunt for a college football playoff spot. Mm-hmm. Their loss to Mississippi State functionally ends that dream.
Yeah, it booted them.
And even if they beat Alabama this week, which they probably won't, even if they beat Alabama this week, Texas A&M is almost certainly not going to make the college football playoff.
It's like having a stain on your clothes. Like they got the one stain and then it's just done. Throw it away.
And that's the strange thing we don't talk about enough about college football is it is so stratified that if you are thinking like big picture, right? That it's national championship or it's a failure, which I don't think is a healthy way to think about it, but let's just consider this. There are certainly some people in Aggie country that think that way about this year. We certainly had very high hopes for the Aggies. Mm-hmm. If that is the case, then aren't we always just setting ourselves up to be miserable?
Yeah, because most teams, 95% of teams at that thing would be
98.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing of what are you playing for? Because you're not making a national. North Texas is never playing a national championship. Right. You know, like
and by the way, even if you said, oh well, you know what? If A&M can just win the division, they have 2 conference losses, both in division now. Like that dream is gone as well. That goal is gone as well.
2 teams that are not very like.
So and that's a little bit strange. If you think existentially about college football. There's so few games, and there's such a limited margin for error that, in many respects, unless you are one of those powerhouses, unless you are Alabama or Georgia, the season, like if your goal is a national championship, your goal is the playoff. For most of those teams, the dreams are dashed, right? Yeah. Like who has a realistic chance at the playoff in Texas right now?
No.
I guess if Texas wins out. Maybe,
but they're still.
But even then, they'd be 12-1, and now I don't believe a 1-loss conference champion has ever been left out of the playoff. With the exception of I guess that's probably the case.
What about?
Were TCU Baylor?
Yeah, I was going to say TCU Baylor that year.
But they split the conference title, I believe. So I don't know. All that's to say that. We have set that college football is set up so unlike any other sport that if you think about it in the big picture perspective, I think you have to instead find ways to measure success that aren't winning the national championship or making the college football playoff. That, for example, I think if A&M were to go 9-3 this year,
be a success.
I think that on the whole, I think it would fall short of expectations, but I think it's hard to call 9-3 a bad year across when you take a look historically at Texas A&M football. I don't know. Something I was thinking about a lot this week. And thought number 3, 4A Division 1, now what? So it's such a strange situation. If you take a look at, we're going to reveal our Dave Campbell's Texas Football Associated Press rankings coming up here at the back half of this program. And if you look at it, I'm going to be honest. You're going to see a lot of chalk. You're going to see a lot of, same old, same old. A little bit of movement here and there and stuff like that. And the exception to that, the large exception to that, is 4A Division 1, which, by the way, only 4 of the top 10 teams were in action this week.
Yeah. And it still decided to implode.
But Melissa beat number 1 Argyle. San Antonio Cornerstone, a good private school team, but a private school team nonetheless, beat Corpus Christi Calalon. And Lindale beat Tyler Chapel Hill.
Yep.
So suddenly, there's a ton of movement, and we're left to wonder, what's it all mean? What's it all look like? Where does 4A Division 1 stand? I'm not throwing dirt on Argyle.
No.
I think Melissa had a great game plan. I think they exposed a couple of things that Argyle we've mentioned. I don't think that they're a perfect team. I don't think they're the juggernaut they were last year where they were just mowing people down. But they've obviously got some flaws. But I don't think I'm necessarily going to throw dirt on them.
No.
I think we've got a big game this week between Stephenville and Waco La Vega to find out, a lot about both of those teams. Austin LBJ is undefeated, bobbing along. We've had coaches tell us they think they're the best team in 4A Division 1. El Campo looms. What do we make of Melissa now? They took those 2 losses early, but since then have been a wrecking machine.
And that's the thing when it's like just one team, like just Argyle would have gone down, this would have been a totally different conversation. But the fact that multiple hit all in the same week, that's what always throws chaos into it.
But is there a party crasher? Is there a Huffman Hargrave?
Yeah.
Is there a Midlothian Heritage? Is there a Kaufman? Right? 4A Division 1 got thrown into the wood chipper this weekend, and we're kind of left wondering, is this a division without a favorite? Is this a division instead that has a large group of contenders that it's just going to be a matter of who gets the breaks and who finds out who gets the right path, et cetera, et cetera. A lot to sort through in 4A Division 1. It's very rare that all the chaos is contained into one division. That was the case this weekend.
Yeah.
Those 3 big thoughts. 3 helmet stickers. A helmet sticker to El Paso quarterback Gary. I think it's Jerry. Or is it Jerry?
I think it's Jerry.
Jerry Chiares. Chiares? This is tough. I'm sorry, Coach. I'm sorry.
Jerry Chiares.
Jerry Chiares. 14 to 24. 340 yards, 3 touchdowns passing, 14 carries, 119 yards, and a touchdown rushing. He also kicked a field goal and had 5 PATs, 5 for 5 on PATs for Gary Chiares, the quarterback at El Paso High.
Poor kid.
Go Tigers. Houston running back Alton McCaskill. Big game for the freshman there at Houston in their big win on Friday night at Tulsa. 17 carries, 77 yards. I know the rushing totals aren't impressive, but 3 touchdowns. He was a grinder on Friday night in Houston's big win. Rather surprising win over Tulsa. And Frisco Lone Star running back Ashton Jonty. 17 carries, 192 yards, 4 touchdowns rushing, 5 catches, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns receiving. Just get him the ball.
Light work.
Get him the ball. Good things will happen. 3 teams to watch. Speaking of Frisco, let's talk about Frisco High. Frisco High goes and beats Frisco Liberty. I know a lot of the ink that's going to be spilled about this game is how Evan Stewart wasn't there. Evan Stewart has opted out of the rest of the season. But give a lot of credit to Frisco. This is a team in the Raccoons that are grinding people out right now. They're doing that thing. Jeff Harbert's doing that thing. Where his team is running the option offense, which is extremely difficult to stop. They're really physical, and furthermore, they are also very, very good defensively. That is a team to keep an eye on there in Frisco. Keep an eye on the Raccoons. Texas Southern.
How about that?
We did it!
Dub.
The Tigers not just win.
They won emphatically.
The Texas Southern Tigers, for the first time since 2018, are in the win column with a victory over North American University. They win 69-0.
Insane.
They
turned on the
clobber
Jets.
them. I know it's North American University.
But a win is a win.
At this point, Texas Southern just needs to get back into victory formation. And they did it. Congratulations to Clarence McKinney. Happy for him to get a win. Good job, Texas Southern. And finally, the biggest win of the weekend.
More dubs.
The Boys Ranch Rough Riders snap their 49-game losing streak. They beat Booker 38-14.
That was the longest in Texas, correct?
The longest active streak in Texas high school football. We talked about it a little bit on Football Friday. Boys Ranch is an interesting story. They are located on Cal Farley's Boys Ranch up in the Panhandle. It is functionally a home for at-risk youth. And they got the win on Friday night. There's a video going around, I retweeted it, that Cal Farley's Boys Ranch put out that said that basically the entire town came out when the buses came back from Booker.
That's
and they were
so
ringing
awesome.
bells, and they had the big banner. Super cool.
And if you've ever been out there, like you hit that on the way up to like Colorado, New Mexico. There's nothing out there, so I'm sure that they were lining the streets. That's so awesome.
It's fantastic stuff. Congratulations to Aaron Wampler and the Boys Ranch Rough Riders.
Cool.
Certainly a team to watch. Big win on Friday night. 3 games we got our eye on this week. Battle of Unbeatens, Brian Rudder and Montgomery. Probably maybe a surprise Battle of Unbeatens. Rudder's certainly a surprise. Rudder's certainly a surprise. Montgomery, I think John Bolfing's had something cooking there. His kid, I want to say Brent Bolfing, is a 4-year starter at quarterback. They've got playmakers. This is going to be a fun matchup there in that. Jalen Washington. He's been fantastic, and that whole team is really rolling. Big matchup of unbeatens and going to kind of shake out that A&M Consolidated Huntsville District, which is kind of gone kablooey.
Yeah.
Winner of this game is, I think, in the driver's seat to win the district championship. So big game there. I don't know if you guys know, but it's second Saturday in October. So there will be people at the fair. And finally, Stephenville and La Vega. We mentioned it. It's we will get some more clarity on what 4A Division I looks like. Matt Stepp on our podcast on last Monday on Tepper and Stepp made the comment that he thinks Waco La Vega turned the corner, and he thinks that they are now turning into like that wrecking machine that they normally are. If that's the case, they get another big matchup against an unbeaten Stephenville team that has, I think, flown under people's radar. Massive district matchup there.
They're like a good soup. They just keep getting better and simmering as the year goes on.
The Waco La Vega is the Texas.
They're in the crock pot right now.
Waco La Vega is the Texas high school football slow cooker.
Yep.
That's what they are. That's 3 That's Monday Morning Fallout.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.